shortly after 6 p.m. This is the meeting of the Wolfeboro Budget Committee. We can start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Matt, if you could lead us in that.
Sure, I
Pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, if we could show Tom Bell, Steve Johnson, and Brian Black as excused from this meeting for tonight. Any public comments? Seeing and hearing them, we'll move on. First one's Ad Hoc Ambulance Committee Evaluation Update.
Mr. Chairman, could I just say something first? Just be aware that this microphone is very sensitive, so it does pick up when people are talking under their breath and whatnot. So just be aware that whatever you say is probably going to be broadcast.
Okay, thank you. Bob?
Am I up?
Yeah,
okay,
please.
John, I would like to speak about the ambulance committee, and then I would like to kick it over to my co-conspirator on the ambulance committee, Bob Lohman, to finish it up and maybe clean up my mistakes. So I think you've each got a copy of a thing I typed up. So here we go. For years we have had ambulance service provided to us by Stewart's Ambulance. They provided 2 ambulances 24/7 for 365 days a year, and the cost of the service to the town annually came in at around $260,000 to $275,000. Those days are over. In early 2023, Stewart's notified the town they would no longer be providing 911 ambulance service because they were losing money. But they did offer to help us through 2024, and now that promise has been extended through 2026 while we transition to another service. When I say they were losing money, it's a statewide issue. It's a big problem throughout the state, and it has a lot to do with Medicare and Medicaid reimbursements being very low, and insurance companies classifying people as being out of network and things like that. It's they're really having a hard time with this. So the town did receive 2 bids from ambulance providers in 2023 for a similar service from Action Ambulance Service in Ossipee and Brewster Ambulance Service in Massachusetts at a cost of $1,472,000 and $900,000 respectively. And again, that's for a similar service, 2 ambulances, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. At that point, the Wolfeboro FD was given the opportunity to present a fire-based ambulance service proposal to the town, and Fire Chiefs Zadi and Nichols did prepare a proposal, and I think it was very well done. At some point thereafter, the town manager and select board decided to place a warrant article on the 2024 ballot seeking to hire a consultant for the purpose of identifying the best choice of ambulance service, fire-based or private. The warrant article passed, and MRI was chosen to be the consultant. And in July 2024, the select board created the town ambulance committee, on which Bob Lohman and myself were chosen to represent this committee. The committee and MRI was set up in parallel lanes to study the issue and come to independent conclusions on the best way forward with town ambulance services. The committee spent a couple of weeks organizing ourselves around our directives, one being that our time frame for completion should be close to the 16 weeks that MRI proposed they would take. We spent some time learning the rankings of ambulance technicians, including paramedics, AEMTs, and EMTs, and the operational rules of ambulance service. We then spent several weeks on the reports completed by Town Manager Jim Pinio and Fire Chief Zadi and Nichols in regards to a transition to a fire-based ambulance service. In his letter to the town, the CEO of Stewart's Ambulance, Justin Van Etten, recommended that we transition to a fire-based ambulance service, and he offered to help us with the transition. In a recent WMUR feature regarding the financial woes of private ambulance services in New Hampshire, the New Hampshire Insurance Commissioner, DJ Betancourt, indicated that municipally run ambulance services, such as by a fire department, have a backstop in that their costs are included in the town budget, while private ambulance services have no such protection and risk bankruptcy with a lack of adequate revenue for their services. A company down in the Monadnock region in the vicinity of Keene by the name of Deluzio's, they went bankrupt last year, and they actually service a number of towns in that region, and they had been in the business for over 70 years, and they went out last year. That whole area, from what I have read, has been rescued, or at that time was rescued, by the city of Brattleboro, Vermont, and I don't really know where they are right now. The ambulance committee has not taken a formal vote yet on which way to go, and we still have work to do in the coming weeks. That's it for me, John. So I'd like to kick this over to Bob Lohman to continue.
Okay, that pretty much covers the basis, and the future, the near future for the committee is this week we have, on Tuesday as a matter of fact, we have a meeting where Justin Van Etten, the president of Stewart's, will be present, where we are going to do quote-unquote data mining. In other words, we're going to get an idea of the incidents we have on a historical basis, type of calls, et cetera, to get a little better feel for where we are with the current demographics in town and what the kind of service that have been provided so far, because rather obviously we would like to duplicate that service, and I think the townspeople deserve it. So the question now is, at what cost? What's it going to cost us to do that? The two RFPs that we got back indicate that private ambulance services, even if they were sustainable, is pretty expensive. So now the question is, can the fire department do it, provide the services that we expect to provide to the public in a cost-effective manner? And we're at that point right now, where tomorrow we meet with Justin Van Etten, and we're going to talk a little bit about revenues. We're going to talk about reimbursement rates with an eye towards determining, okay, what is the offset in revenues coming in to the costs that we're obviously going to have if we establish a fire department ambulance service. And that's kind of where we are at this point. And I think the plan that was put together by the fire chief and the town manager, the latest one, I think it's July of 2023, is that the date on that one?
Yeah, around there, yeah.
Puts us about 85% of the way to get to a decision. Some numbers have to be freshened up, but now the issue is going to be revenue. What's going to offset the cost? Because it appears obvious to the committee, even though we haven't taken a vote on it, that we're going to end up with a fire-based service because of the problems with private ambulance services and the cost for the two companies that we got already. So that's where we are. And hopefully by the time we get through this meeting with Justin Van Etten, I think the next one where we're really going to be digging into the numbers and finding out, okay, how are we going to do this so it doesn't choke everybody, if you will. Because the number is going to be large in terms of cost, but we need to find out what the revenue is to offset it. That's about it.
John Bryan had a question.
Go ahead, Brian.
So the couple of things that, you did a great job, Bob. One, you could have mentioned that our system, our contract through Stewart's was 260 to 275,000 is now 700,000 with a 4% multiplier every year that we go up. The other thing,
750. 750.
750. The other thing you could mention is that we were looking at 16 weeks, but MRI's report, they've said, is already delayed at least 2 weeks. So that's going to be a timeline crunch for us at the end of the year if we want to use their report as part of our process of creating our service. Other than that, I think you summed it up very, very nicely, Bob.
Thank you, Brian.
Hi there. John.
Go ahead, Matt.
So my understanding is that the steward's contract used to provide paramedic level of care on the ambulances, and the current one does not. Just they require EMTs now. Does not guarantee paramedics on the ambulances.
I'm not sure about that.
That's not the way I understood it.
I do know that.
Which part of that is wrong?
I believe that we are staffed with the paramedic.
Is it, okay.
I don't have the contract in front of me, but that's my understanding.
Okay. Is that something we would want going forward? Have you looked at that question?
We looked at the difference among the three ranks, paramedic being the top flight performer, AEMTs. We also looked at what they can do, what each category can do. EMTs cannot start a line, AEMTs can, and they might be able to push drugs, or maybe it's up to the paramedic to be able to push drugs.
Paramedic.
We haven't really discussed what we think would be the best way to go. They do have, the fire department does have some AEMTs and EMTs. I don't know that we have any paramedics.
One call, I think.
One, there is one.
Oh, okay, right.
Yeah, I think I know that one.
So we might, you might want a paramedic on
That's
every
something to
one.
look at, and then if you want,
Right.
it takes at least a year for an advanced EMT to then become a paramedic. So if we had people now that we'd be looking at to become paramedics, you might get them started. If you're going to the fire-based.
Right.
So
Right.
it's a big jump from going to advanced EMT to paramedic. It's a lot of classwork, and then there's a lot of on the job that they don't get paid for.
I would think at the minimum, there would have to be one AEMT on the bus. And it might be state law, but I know from experience, because I did a lot of ambulance runs in my day, and when you get to the hospital with a patient, the people in the hospital want a line that that person's on.
Makes sense.
Yeah, oh yeah, it does.
They have someone that
It
can
does.
do it and probably saves lives.
And EMTs are not licensed to do that.
Okay.
If I may, not to short stop the discussion, but that's kind of where we're at right now.
Yeah, right.
We're in the process of defining
Looking at
exactly
that.
what we're going to need, because
Right.
that's part of the discussion with Justin Van Hetten. Because obviously, he has the knowledge, and he probably has a lot of input into how he might want to build this thing. And obviously, the consideration is the level of service that we're going to provide. If it's going to require paramedics, then so be it. If that's what the level of service that the town wants, that's what we need to do. But that's kind of where we're at in the whole process.
Brian, did you have something?
To provide the aforementioned ambulance service, each ambulance must be manned with at least 2 nationally registered emergency technicians. At least one ambulance must have an EMT who is certified at the advanced EMT level or higher.
So no paramedic is required?
My understanding, the paramedic, he's the guy in the hospital, he's got the little Toyota, every once in a while you'll see him
So-
out with the red light.
What, the prior contract required paramedics on each ambulance?
I don't believe so. The guy that's been the paramedic, when you come to my house, my friend's house, it's always been the little guy in the Toyota, got a little Toyota pickup truck or a sedan or something. He usually goes all over the place, not just here, but also up to Ossipee, Tufton Road, and different places.
Well, maybe it's worth looking at.
So let me just get this straight. So right now, it's going to be $750,000, and then 4% a year.
So in 2024, right now, it's 750,000. We already were quoted what the cost of the adjustment was going to be, so it's going to be 777,000 in 2025.
Okay.
And it could go up another 4% if we were to go into
Right,
26.
is there any way we can, so we don't have to rush into everything, make them stay a little bit longer if we pay the 4% every year for the next 4 or 5 years? I just don't like being pushed up against the wall, we gotta do this now and all this other stuff. Because what's the estimate that you got from the fire department to take over the service? Do you have one?
The one report has a ballpark estimate, and it has us very close to numbers that ambulance providers would give us.
So $1 million?
Oh, easily,
Okay.
I would say.
It'd be just nice if we could get a couple more years of breathing to try to figure out exactly what we want to do, rather than jump right into this in the next year or 2 years.
John?
Yes, sir.
I did ask that. I believe that might be one of the questions that we'll ask. So only a small group of 4 people on the committee will initially speak with Mr. Van Etten tomorrow, because there might be some issues he may not want to talk to the whole committee about for confidentiality purposes. And then he's supposed to come in and meet with all of us, and then obviously our questions and conversation would be more general, I would think. So but one, I did say at one point, if he had turned around and guaranteed us like 10 years at this, 750 plus 4%, and I think it's worded at a ceiling of 4%. It's inflation to max out at 4%.
So it could be less than that.
Yes, it could be
Possibly.
less.
It could be.
Well, yeah.
Yeah,
I
okay.
think it's pegged off the CPI.
What's that?
It's pegged off of the CPI, consumer prices.
Right, so I think this year it was either 3.6 or 3.7, so it wasn't at 4%,
So
but,
that's what the accelerator is whatever the current CPI is, that gets added into the.
Okay. Linda?
Yeah, I just think you, the committee, should keep an eye on what's happening at Exeter Hospital. They're cutting, whether Huggins will still send out a paramedic. We need to know that, because Exeter is cutting all that. They were going to give them like 10 days, and the commissioner made them stick to their contract and do it until December 20th. But that could affect what we want on our ambulances.
And they did that out of the blue, didn't they? Didn't they just announce it one day and that was it? I don't think they gave much notice.
No, but then somebody read their contract of taking
Okay.
over, and they had to give 90-day notice, so it was a little oops. But we should keep an eye on and find out from Huggins exactly what they plan to do.
Well, and going along with what you're talking about, John, I kind of agree with you. We need to find out from stewards, which obviously based on the prices that the other 2 providers have given us, if we can negotiate with them on a 2-5-year contract at some number with an accelerator. To your point, I think we'd be wise to look at that very strongly, because it does buy us time to do the kind of research we need to do. And if we decide in our heads that it's going to be a fire department-based service, then okay, at the end of the 2 or 5-year, whatever contract we can get with them, it will have bought us some time to spread the costs out, get some people trained, get some capital expenditures going in terms of ambulances, yada, 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 but kind of spread things out. I understand where you're coming from.
Yeah, thank you.
It's a pretty big nut to meet in one shot.
Yeah.
It's like a piano coming out the window.
also a lot of people to hire and find to hire.
Exactly, and that's going to take some time to get people trained up and all that business.
Can
Yeah,
I
I-
ask a question?
Like you just now.
Yeah, just quick to mention though, the $1 million that the fire department came up with for, like, I'm sure it's close, but it could move either way. There's a revenue stream that we don't know what follows up with that, so that number is going to be offset by that revenue stream. The other thing is, stewards could say, I don't want to do it, and then you're in trouble, and you're
Right.
caught, we almost got caught last year. So I think, and they certainly can say, I don't want to do it. Well, they could go bankrupt. It could cost them money. So these are other things we need to consider.
Well, I think that's one of the questions that's going to get asked tomorrow of Justin Van Etten is, would you be willing to, in words of one syllable, at some price that you give us, pick a number, $800,000 plus 4% for the next 5 years, you willing to do that? And if he says no, you know where we're at.
That'll never be his
Well,
answer,
we know
because
where we're at.
he'd have to predict the future to even say that.
Exactly.
And he can't.
I understand that. I understand that, Bob. But we need that the committee needs that answer in order for us to be able to decide which way we're gonna go, for sure.
But he'll still do the transports from Huggins, right?
Yes.
Yep.
So we won't get any of that.
No.
That's strictly their business.
I think Matt.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
just,
right, man.
does Stewart's ever respond in Wolfeboro to a call that the fire department does not also respond to?
I see them both all the time.
Yeah.
They
I see
usually,
them, I see them going down to the nursing home at least 3 times a week.
and usually fire gets there first?
Ooh.
Depends what it is.
I would say the fire truck is usually in front of the Stewart's ambulance, yes, and only because the barn's a little closer than the
So
Stewart's.
the fire department's already responding,
Right.
okay.
But
That's-
that may not be
Yeah,
for an emergency, maybe someone, they can't get him in the bed or whatever, up to the.
Well, you know what,
This
we have a lot of work to do, because one of the discussions is going to be manpower.
Yeah,
You know, how many do they want to keep on the fire engine, and how many should be available for the ambulance? Those numbers are given out in different numbers, 16 and 3, 20 plus 3, and that something, Bob and I have been reminding them every now and again that we are a recommendation committee. We don't make the final decision. We make a decision on what to recommend, and we send it to the town manager and the select board, and that's it. So one of the issues that will be coming our way is staffing. There's no question about it.
well, in the proposal that Chief Sadi did, how many people did he propose to have on per shift?
I can tell you that. He proposed hiring 5 in the first year and 4 in the second year, for a total of 9 additions to the firefighter service. So I think that would be the 20 and 3.
So then how many per shift? Would
Um,
he have?
Minimum staffing of 4.
right,
4? Just?
yeah.
Because in addition to ambulance, or just 4 and they would cover the ambulance?
Right.
But that 4 would eliminate the Kelly days right there.
They're talking about eliminating that also. They're talking about 42 hours versus 48 hours. And once again, that's part of a negotiation, because we're talking about salary adjustments in that scenario. I think
Yeah.
they're talking about a 42 hour.
And it's also, if you can get rid of the Kelly days, it's another benefit
Yeah,
to the town.
right.
Okay.
Right, so, but that's the thing. Some people might think the number should be 16 and 3. They're saying it will be more efficient and similar to Stewart's service at 20 and 3, I believe. So, you know, we
And
can.
just to be clear, when you say 20 and 3, you mean 20 on the floor and 3 administration?
Yes,
They actually say 4,
okay, 20 and 4?
24.
Okay,
No, 20, I think the 3s and 4s are different, so I think it's a minimum of 4. And as the town manager just pointed out, with 3 admin. 20 plus 3 admin, but it would be 20 with a minimum of 4
No,
staffing.
Nate Nichols said 20 and 4 admin, because he wants a specific position
Right,
for that. So
Right.
he's saying 4 admin and 20 staff.
if you're counting the executive secretary, yes. it's
And
4.
so they, I did talk to them. They said that they feel confident they can get staffing. The revenues are built into their plan. That's part of their plan for what the costs are. And a little difference that we have, according to the fire department, with our Stewart's ambulance service now, is it used to be that we had a 3rd ambulance that would back up if we had 2 going out. Now, what happens is if we had one that had to do in intertransport, we have to pull a 2nd ambulance from mutual aid. From what we were told from Chief Zadi, that's only happened 4 times so far this year. So it's not a huge issue, but the service that Stewart's is giving us is a little bit less than what we were getting before for 3 times the price.
and that's in the contract.
Yes.
That's correct.
That's correct. It is.
What I would like to see, if we can't get Stewart's like Bob is suggested to run a long-term contract, half the contract. When we get an ambulance running in a year or two, cut their contract in half where they only supply us one ambulance. So we're running with their ambulance as number one, and we're running the number two ambulance. So our fire department can start working out the growing pains. And then the next year, we take over with 2 full ambulance, and then Stewart's is out the door. So it's another possibility, because there are other companies that offered us quotes for just 1 ambulance, or 2.
Well, that's where we are. That's the point that everybody's discussing here, is exactly where the committee is right now, evaluating, okay, how are we gonna do this? And we haven't arrived there yet because we haven't got the complete answer from the stewards as to, you know, would they be interested in or willing to do the kind of thing that Chairman McDonald is suggesting, you know, a 2 to 5 year contract. Would they do it? If they won't, then we're pretty well know where we're at. Because we haven't officially got coverage for 2026 yet. It has been suggested, we have talked about it, but it isn't nailed down yet.
I think they did, Bob. I think they said, I think Stewart's told the chief that they would be willing to stay around for 2026 if we needed
Well,
that.
that's another question we need to make sure of. But, you know, you think you heard it, and I think I heard it.
Right.
I can tell you the Board of Selectmen will be authorizing me Wednesday evening to sign the contract, which will go through December 31, 2026.
Oh, good.
Good.
Excellent. All right.
And
But
maybe
after that,
maybe we can get 1 more year with 1 ambulance for 27.
So have you guys already made up your mind that you're gonna go out and have your own service? Is that what you're planning on doing?
Well, I think there's 3 more municipalities in New Hampshire right now, up north, Berlin, and 2 or 3 others right now that are closing down because their companies are leaving. This is something, we're not all of a sudden going to have a situation where all private ambulance companies are coming back to New Hampshire. You can kind of see what's happened. It's a 10, 15-year trend.
But the answer is no, the Board of Selectmen has not made any
Absolutely.
decisions.
Absolutely, because that's why we formed the committee,
Mhm.
to do the legwork. You know, the town manager gave us a report, and there was the difference between 16 and 20. So I'm not quite sure, Selectmen, I don't have that kind of knowledge why you go to one or the other. That's why we also wanted MRI, a total, a person who had no contact, who's done it around. We're trying to get the data and have the documents, so when we get the recommendation and the board decides, it won't be because we've just decided. We will have reasons and documents to back up us moving, because it's going to be a large number.
What's the current number for the contract they just signed?
777,000 is for 25, and 26 would be a maximum of 4% more. But it's
Okay,
not
so we're all
set
set for 25, and then 26 is gonna be 4%
up to.
in that contract that's been signed.
No, it's not signed till Wednesday night.
Okay, but when he signs it, it's gonna, so we don't have to do anything until actually 2027 is when everything is declared according to their contract.
Well,
Yes.
that's when we have to be feet on the ground. And
Right, unless there's
provide
some
the
other change or whatever, okay.
So it gives us 2 years to
Okay.
pull all the details together, to get capital
Yeah.
approvals and warrant articles and all that good stuff together.
That's
So,
good.
Yes.
And
2
train
years.
staff and
That
hire.
was the whole idea, to get 2026, which would allow us the time to start getting the hiring going,
Yeah.
getting the training going, deciding how we're gonna ambulance size it, if you will, buy the equipment. Is it gonna be used, is it gonna be new, all that stuff.
Go ahead, Bob.
And just to bolster what Brian said about this is going on all over the state, some people may know this, some people may not know this. Tufton Borough has an ambulance, the fire department, they've had it for a little while. Center Ossipee has an ambulance, Ossipee Corner has an ambulance. They're doing that for a reason, because they know. They know somewhere down the line it's coming. So,
Guilford.
Yeah, Guilford too.
yeah.
so we had 2 gentlemen in from MRI last week to speak with us, just to give us an update on how they were going. And they feel that they're going to extend out several more weeks past that 16-week mark, Jim, and maybe another month or so. And we feel that we might get done sooner, so, and it's in our directive, it might have been the second last paragraph in our directive was to let you know that we might be finishing up at a different time. The directive said that we should be finishing up around the same time. We don't think it's gonna happen. They told us they're gonna run an extra 4 weeks or so past that 16-week mark, and we think we'll be done sooner. So,
Thank you for letting me know. I appreciate that.
We also think we have to be done before then, because there's a lot of preparatory work. We need to get it identified, get it to the Board of Selectmen.
right.
By the time,
We're
get
aware of
the
the
2026
right.
ambulance
We're
contract
aware of the
done.
mindset
We're
that
covered.
we should deliver to the select board to give them enough time to make decisions to possibly put something into a or several warrant articles. We know the territory. We have a nursing home with 95 beds in it behind me. We have 2 assisted living facilities on the Taylor campuses. We have 2 senior citizen residences in the Ledges and Christian Ridge. What else? We have plenty of senior citizens still living in their houses, like me and my wife, and you and your bride. So I don't think Wolfeboro needs to jeopardize its ambulance service. I think we have to make sure the service is not interrupted.
Okay, you might just want to contact the city of Berlin. They put out an RIP, whatever it is, to have someone do all their billing and collections for their ambulance service. See whether they decided to farm it out rather than do it themselves.
We will not be doing it ourselves.
Okay.
If we go that route, you have to have people who understand medical coding and billing to do that business.
Okay, anything
And
else?
that, just on the way by, is probably gonna cost us about 10% of revenue. To have an outside billing service doing it, that's what it's gonna cost.
Right, but the people won't get a bill if you picked up at Carpenter School and taken Huggins for $3,000 or $4,000, will they?
Well, I can't speak to that because I don't know the reason for the call, okay? So, yes, I can say yes, maybe.
Because that's
or no,
most of the
maybe.
complaints I've got is it's so
My
costing
point,
much.
my point
going
is,
into the
John,
ambulance.
that there's a 10% hit on the revenue
Yeah.
off the top for the billing service to be done, and I think that's money well spent.
Oh, sure, I agree, no doubt. Okay, thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, everyone. CIP update?
Okay, real quick, I'm gonna go just right down the line with the 2025 revenue, current revenue hit. Okay, anything that's coming out of capital reserve accounts or anything that is going to be, have grants or loans from the revolving loan fund, I'm not gonna bring up. I think the main thing is to concern ourselves with what's gonna hit the tax base. Okay? All right, having said that, 2 warrant articles for 2025 for ambulances, 1 new, 1 used, total of $794,000. And that's obviously negotiable, but that's where the CIP thing is right now. Public Works in total, $1,420,000, including the road upgrades of $900,000. There's a series of projects that are involved that they're doing. I'm not going to go into the details of them at this point. The library parking area for $160K. There's a stormwater issue that has to be remedied. Water, sewer, and South Main Street sewer for $4.7 million, which is a grant, and the New Hampshire revolving loan fund, I think, is the funding mechanism on that one, at least proposed. We've got the sewer pump stations for $100K. There's upgrades that need to be done on all them. PRV vault for the water tower for $100K. This was talked about before. It wasn't done anything with budget considerations, but it's now coming to be a problem. And the River Street water main for $350,000. So water and sewer, including that South Main Sewer Street project of $4.7 million is $5,250,000. That's it. That's where we are. And we don't see any other 2025 projects coming in because we pretty much covered the bases with everything.
That 160 for the library, that's just the engineering to correct the problem?
No,
That's everything?
no, that's get it fixed.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions for a CIP update? Members' assignments, reviews, updates of the town department budgets. Any questions, comments on that? Yeah.
So, last Thursday night, the police commission met. Captain Livy reported that they're staying below the default budget line, and they expect that to continue. The one thing that came up in that meeting, the police commission approved for a crossing guard for Carpenter School. It's $50 an hour, times 2 hours a day. They said the reason for that is if they get a call, they have to leave, and then what happens? That's their rationale.
It's been like that since I was in first grade. We've always had a police officer as a crossing guard. I don't know.
And it's got a estimated seasonal amount of 9,000. So, and other than that, everything's staying the same. They're waiting for a couple cost estimates from third-party providers, but other than that, there's no surprises. Everything stays where it is.
I've just got a general question. We have a default budget. We have a budget book that says this is how many positions we're going to have. Is it keeping within the bottom line, or is someone free to do whatever they want to do as creating a new position and spending that money for something different?
Is that directed at me, sir?
Anyone that would like to answer it?
So we have a head count that we intend on staying within.
I'm just talking about this particular position, Jim.
That you're gonna have to take up with the police commission. You know
Okay.
as well as I do that the police commission has the authority to hire fire set compensation.
Maybe you could
within
ask the
police
town attorney
department.
for an opinion on that, if that would be possible. I'd appreciate it.
I think they discussed that when we had the video from the New Hampshire Municipal Association. They talked all about staffing and hiring and firing, and they said, I'd have to go back and I'd have to look at it, but if a position was open and posted, you could use it, and if a position had to have its job description changed, and the job description had been used before, you could use it. So you'll have to, we'll have to go back and refer to that document. I'll send it to you, John.
I'll do the research myself. Thank you for everyone being so helpful. I appreciate it.
John,
Yes.
I guess, why does a crossing guard have to be in the police department?
I have no idea. This is the first I've heard of it was today.
Yeah, me too.
Linda?
Yes, as I recall, probably about 10 years ago, the school system hired a crossing guard, and the person didn't last very long.
Because,
Just didn't
Give
do a
up?
good job.
It wasn't $50 an hour.
No, it wasn't $50 an hour.
We were gonna hire-
It wasn't that, but the school system, I think at that point, hired a crossing guard, and then the town wanted a police officer there, and we went back to a police officer.
And Tom, in that report, mentioned why isn't the school fund, paying for some of that? So
Is this being executed in the 2024 budget, or is this being proposed for 2025?
It says the police commission approved it, so I'm not sure if they're gonna go forward with that
They're
next year.
basing the money on the money they're saving by the open positions.
is it gonna be a sworn officer doing
I have no idea.
He is a retired police officer with 40, 50, whatever, 35 years of service who moved up here recently, so he is a retired police officer.
That's good that they
He's not
posted
a
it
sworn
for
officer.
other people to have the opportunity to apply for it.
So he's not currently a sworn officer,
No.
he's retired. Well, it just seems, I don't know.
I know there's a time where
$50 an hour.
they stopped doing it. They didn't put an officer down there, and the chief said, I can do whatever I want to do. And I just want to make sure that this falls under the guidance of the default budget. Because I don't recall ever creating that position existing
I don't
before they
either.
just created it.
It doesn't seem like it has to be a police function.
If
Unless
nobody
it's
cares,
required
I'll
to
just
be
drop
done.
it. That's what I'll do. If no one cares about it, then we can just move on. Okay, anything else on that? Town manager report?
So we're into the budget season. I met with a couple department heads this week, or this past week. I've got budget meetings scheduled all week. I will get an answer as to if this is within the police department under the proposed budget or under the current budget. Short of that, we're working through CIP. We've got a number of positions posted, and that's about the gist of it at this point. And Casey will be able to give you a financial report.
Is every position that the town has, is it always posted?
Anyone that we have does get posted. The only time that did not happen, we recently, in the process of making a transition of our treasurer and our deputy treasurer, they're going to flip positions, so the deputy will become the treasurer and the treasurer will become the deputy. That's the only time we haven't advertised a position.
The state doesn't have any RSA that requires you to post a job that is being looked for a municipality. Our town has a policy, a hiring policy that says that we go out to bid for a job. Now, the police commission can do their own thing. If they follow state RSA, they don't have to post the job available to everybody.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes the union and the agreements, they may have that it has to be posted within the house first.
Mm-hmm. I think do. A lot of
Okay, any questions for the town manager? Financial report?
I handed out to you the August 31st, 2024 reports with the approved budgets. We're 8 months into the year, or 67% of the budget year. I have not been made aware of any areas of concern. However, we are watching our spending. The town manager and I are seeing all POs over $250 and signing off on them. The general fund operating budget is at 72%, with the revenue at 55%, and that is primarily because the second tax bill has not been created yet. Water fund, the operating budget's at 72% and 48% for residential. Municipal electric fund is at 70%, with revenues at 51%. Sewer fund is at 89% operating and 43% residential. Pop whaling operating budget is at 87% and 62% of of revenue. Some of the utility bills are low because we just went through a software conversion, so some of the bills didn't get out over the summer, so they're doubling up, and we should catch up on those numbers shortly. I also handed out a donation reconciliation. I haven't spoken with you, but in July, Friends of Pop Whalen did their final donation. The only thing we're waiting for is a grant that is in the town's name, and then that commitment will be complete. Motor vehicle revenue is at 74%. Building permits are at 87%. And I booked the quarterly admin fees in the third quarter in August, so those numbers are all at 75%. And I think that is all. Oh, I will answer a question because I was asked twice today, once by a budget committee member and once by our selectman. We had put all the Lake Winnie expenses under the Economic Development Department, and the line item was highly expensed, and that is because I haven't grossed it up with the donation that is coming in. But since I answered you this morning, I've now put that into a different line item, so it's not going to be commingled in outside services and whatever the other one was. All the services will be right in one line item under EDC that says Lake Winnie Day. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Thank you.
Thank you.
John, do you want to know about the salaries?
Salary about what's the,
I have it right here.
what salary?
The law in 2018 testimony indicated that the The intent that excluded salaries and specified the terms did not include vacant positions or reorganized structured positions. It also said it acknowledged that when a position is not eliminated but replaced by a new employee with a lower salary, example due to retirement, those changes do not need to be reflected in the default budget. Supporters of the 2018 law changes maintain that if a position remains open or is filled by a more junior employee, the default budget does not need to be adjusted. Only if a position is eliminated through attrition, reorganization, restructuring does it have to be removed from the default budget.
Okay, so what does it say about a position never existed?
It says, basically it says they could be using it, looking at a more junior position. I don't know, maybe because we've had a crossing guard in the past, they can say we're hiring somebody for a more junior position for that job, being a crossing guard, we're not using a
So the part-time
police
position down there, the half-time was never put in there then? Is that true? Or,
I don't believe it was. I've never seen it.
okay.
Then it goes into talking about raises for salaried employees.
Does anybody have any financial questions for me?
I have a question. Actually, it's for the upcoming budget, which I missed. Is the revaluation going in the budget, or is it going to be a warrant article?
The Board of Selectmen have not discussed it. No decisions have
Okay.
been made.
Okay, so I think I mentioned to you, I spoke with New Hampshire Municipal Association attorney Steve Buckley back in May when we had a discussion about whether the revaluation was going to go into the 2025 budget. If it went into default, and Catherine, I thought it would. Catherine straightened me out and said no, it also would come out in 2025 budget. And Catherine mentioned that you were thinking about putting out as a warrant article. Steve Buckley advised me that that should not be done. Should not be in a warrant article because of the no means no doctrine. He says if it goes into the operating budget and we go back into a default budget again, money should be found somewhere to fund the revaluation. He also highly suggested that we start a capital reserve account for going forward for revaluation. So maybe $50,000 a year or something.
So I would suggest that I don't necessarily agree with the statement about no means no, because that no means no doctrine, is my understanding, is based on revenues or appropriations that you have. It's my understanding if this thing gets voted down,
As
New
a warrant
Hampshire,
article?
at either level,
Okay.
warrant article or operating budget, New Hampshire DRA has the authority to come in and say, you will do this. And they will take it from your unassigned fund balance. Therefore, it does not affect your appropriations. I will get clarification on that, but that's the way that I understood it.
Steve did mention that to me, and the way he put it was the DRA would petition the Board of Tax and Land Appeals to rule that our revaluation must be done, which is what you just said. An affirmative ruling by the Board of Tax and Land Appeals would direct the DRA to hire an assessor, conduct a revaluation, pay for it with state funds, and then send us a bill. There is no known time frame on when this would happen, and the cost of the town would be unknown. So I guess it's kind of the same thing.
So, and I did speak with our assessor about that, and his takeaway on that one is the fact that if a town does not have an assessor lined up, the state can come in and line an assessor up for the town.
Okay.
We have an assessor lined up. So we are in a positive position comparatively to that scenario. But we will have crystal clear answers for the budget season.
The only thing I could suggest that maybe if it is done through a warrant article, that a warrant article would be funded by the unassigned fund balance.
Well, that's a challenge because we got some input, I do believe, from a petition warrant article that told us not to do that. I do believe we got that.
From way back when? Or?
Just last year, wasn't it? 2 years ago?
That's true.
That we are not to use unassigned fund balance for anything other than buying down the tax rate.
That is correct. That petition warrant article did pass.
But that is a reaffirmation of something that was done a long time ago. It's not.
I realize that, I'm just answering the question.
Which was another.
Right, I'm just saying it's not a new thing. That's the way it always was. It was just reaffirmed last year.
And that other one was also a petition warrant article, right?
That I do not.
I think the first one was a petition warrant article
I
too.
believe so.
That means it's non-binding. Petition warrant article is non-binding. So it's a policy that we should follow because voters said so, but it is non-binding.
Thank you.
I just want, the board hasn't been, I'm not sure if the board has been thinking, what they've been thinking, because I haven't been in front of them for 2025, so I just know that there's two ways of handling this, and I will hopefully present both ways, or the town manager will give them all the information and let them make the decision.
And the board has had no discussion of the 2025 budget yet. We're just coming in our first October, we'll start getting agencies. We're just moving into that.
Thank you.
And I guess my last financial tidbit is in August, beginning of August, the town auditor came and presented the audit to the town board of selectmen. If anybody would like a electronic copy, I'd be happy to send it to them, unless I already did.
It's on the town website anyway.
Yep, that's correct. All right, if you have no further questions, I will conclude.
Okay, anything else from anybody? Okay, let's move on to other business. Anybody have anything? Okay, seeing no, we'll move on. Informational item, the budget meeting schedule. You should have a copy of that. Take in your packet. Anybody have any problems with those dates?
No.
Does this work for everybody? Anyone have any concerns? Can I get a motion to accept the schedule as written?
So moved. Second.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Thank you. Opposed? Okay, next thing we've got here. Approval of the minutes for July 22nd, 2024. Any changes anyone sees here? Needs?
No.
Yes, sir. Gentlemen have some changes here?
Nope,
No?
just asking an informational question.
Okay.
Move to accept.
In a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, those in favor of approving the minutes of July 22nd, 2024, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, I was not here, so I abstain.
Thank you, sir. Okay, any public comment? Oh, Leanne, you have something?
Are we gonna schedule a meeting in October?
October, certainly.
Or we have a CIP presentation that the chair of the planning board would like to present. And we usually meet one final time right before.
Has she given you any dates? Dorothy, I'm not sure.
Well, actually, I spoke with the town manager. And he suggested October 23rd. Location to be determined, just in case
Okay.
this isn't available. And they'll do the CIP and then any last minute.
What is the plan date, please?
23rd.
23rd.
October 20,
23rd.
Wednesday, October 23rd at 6 PM.
When you post it, just post it for us to do for your things also during the meeting, not just the CIP, but,
Yes.
Okay.
I was going to anyway.
thank you.
I just have one
Yes, sir.
question about this. October 23rd, might that be a meeting night for the select board for the budget?
No, I don't see one.
No,
Oh, you.
that's
checked
why I
it.
met with Jim
Oh, okay.
before, to
Okay.
make sure it wasn't a conflict.
Thank you.
There's 5 Wednesdays, that's why.
Oh.
They're meeting 2 and 16.
Okay, 23rd. Okay, anything else? No public comment? Motion to adjourn?
So move.
A second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, everyone.